To know is to understand. The question is already answered in its asking.
And I stood tall and did it my way.
What if I told you that some of the most famous celebrities were concealing terrifying truths? These shocking secrets about Hollywood's elite will make you rethink everything you believed about fame. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss a moment. Number 25, Ann Miller.
Everybody with care and trouble that day.
Ann Miller was Hollywood's brightest tap dance star, but behind her glamorous image lay a heartbreaking secret that almost destroyed her. After marrying Reese Milner, her world took a terrifying turn. Ann Miller was famous for being the best tap dancer in Hollywood, but behind the scenes, she endured unimaginable tragedies. Her first husband, Reese Milner, was a nightmare. Though this wealthy heir to a scrap iron fortune won Ann over with his money, his violent temper eventually led to the most devastating event of her life, and her darkest secret. Milner was the perfect example of a wolf in sheep's clothing, and Ann was about to face the most brutal awakening of her life. In 1946, after Kane reluctantly released Ann from her contract, she married Milner just 2 days after Valentine's Day. The wedding in Montecito, California was perfect, but that was the high point. Within 2 months, Ann found herself pregnant, but despite the excitement about becoming a mother, she couldn't ignore the darker side of her marriage. Milner's jealousy was overwhelming, and he even resented Ann spending time with her mother and friends. But that was just the beginning. When Ann married Milner, she had no idea of the nightmare she was stepping into. Soon, she discovered that Milner had violent mood swings, ranging from angry to terrifyingly cruel, and there was a tragic reason behind it. Years earlier, Milner had suffered a head injury when a horse fell on him, and the accident permanently changed his personality, turning him into someone unrecognizable. Sadly, his rage was directed at Ann, and she paid the price. While pregnant and staying at Milner's ranch, Ann was eagerly awaiting the birth of their daughter, Mary, but during a heated argument, Milner lost control and threw Ann down a flight of stairs. The fall shattered her lower back, and soon after, labor began. That's when the real horror truly begins. On November 12, 1946, Ann managed to give birth to her daughter, enduring excruciating pain from her broken back, but the relief she felt was short-lived. Little Mary only lived 3 hours before passing away. The grief that Ann felt was overwhelming, and like all her other suffering, it was a secret that she had to carry alone. The media, however, told a completely different story. They claimed that Ann had been in a car accident, and tragically lost her baby. While Ann never got to know her daughter, another star faced a similar injustice, losing his mother in a way that no child should ever have to experience. Number 24, Michael Caine.
And in their desperation, they turned to a man they didn't fully understand.
Michael Caine thought he knew everything about his family, but after his mother passed away, he uncovered a secret that had been hidden for decades, one that completely rocked his world. Michael Caine's mother concealed a massive secret from the entire family, one that changed everything. You see, Caine had a younger brother named Stanley, and an older half-brother named David. However, it wasn't until his mother's death that Caine learned about David's existence. Even his father never even knew about David. The family matriarch had kept this truth hidden all her life. The only clues were the rare occasions when Caine's mother would visit David in the hospital, where he had lived due to severe epilepsy. Sir Michael Caine CBE, an English actor who retired after a remarkable career, is famous for his distinctive Cockney accent. With over 160 films spanning 8 decades, he became a British film icon. Caine first gained international fame with Zulu in 1964, a gripping retelling of the historic 19th century battle in South Africa. But it was his roles as Harry Palmer in The Ice Press File in 1965 and as the title character in Alfie in 1966 that truly made him a household name. Caine became the embodiment of a new working-class actor in the mid-1960s England, with his glasses and down-to-earth accent. Number 23, Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson is known for his easygoing nature, but his family history is anything but relaxed. His father was one of the most infamous hitmen in American history. Woody Harrelson, undoubtedly a talented actor with boundless potential, has earned legendary status for his craft. But how many of you know that his father, Charles Harrelson, was one of the most notorious hitmen of the last century? Charles Harrelson was responsible for the first ever recorded assassination of a federal judge and even killed a carpet salesman over a mere $1,500. Academy Award nominated and Emmy Award winning actor Woodrow Tracy Harrelson was born on 1961 in Midland, Texas, to Diane Lou and Charles Harrelson. He grew up in Lebanon, Ohio, where his mother was from. After earning degrees in theater arts and English from Hanover College, he briefly worked in the New York theater before landing roles of Woody on the TV series Cheers in 1982. The show became one of the most popular TV shows of all time, and Harrelson earned an Emmy for his performance in 1989. Though he dabbled in film during his Cheers years, his movie career didn't truly take off until near the end of the show's run. In 1991, Doc Hollywood gave him the first major film role, followed by roles in White Man Can't Jump in 1992, Indecent Proposal in 1993, and Natural Born Killers in 1994. More recently, Harrelson appeared in No Country for Old Men 2007, Zombieland 2009, 2012, ironically coming out in 2009, Friends with Benefits coming out in 2011, and the acclaimed HBO movie Game Change coming out in 2012. Number 22. Esther Williams. Esther Williams was Hollywood's aquatic queen, but her secret relationship with a famous actor uncovered a shocking truth that left her in disbelief. This was one affair that she would never forget. Esther Williams ruled the golden age of Hollywood's most unique genre, the aqua musicals of the 40s and 50s. No one could emerge from the pool quite like Williams, flashing a smile that made her an iconic star. But behind the sparkling image, Williams wasn't unfamiliar with passionate affairs and indulgent temptations. However, much of her personal life remained private until her scandalous memoir revealed one of her lover's most surprising secrets. The most shocking revelation in Williams' memoir was her affair with Jeff Chandler. She had met the dashing actor during a difficult time in her life. MGM had just let her go, and her marriage was falling apart. Feeling vulnerable, Williams didn't hesitate to dive into a whirlwind of romance, and soon it became a serious relationship. She and Chandler were even on the brink of a marriage, until Chandler shocked her in the most unexpected way. Williams recalled walking into her bedroom to find Chandler dressed in a gown, wig, and high heels. Known for his towering macho persona at 6'5", Chandler's transformation stunned Williams. She immediately ended the relationship and kept the secret to herself for years. It wasn't until her memoir was released that the shocking truth came to life. Number 21. Matthew Broderick.
Well, you know, typically the gestures are larger and faces are broader. Everything must be able to be read from very far away.
Matthew Broderick's wholesome boy-next-door persona concealed a dark past. One tragic accident in Ireland nearly shattered his life and left two families forever scarred. In 1987, while vacationing in Ireland with Dirty Dancing star Jennifer Grey, Broderick was involved in a head-on collision with a Volvo. Broderick and Grey survived, but the two passengers in the other vehicles lost their lives. Broderick was faced with the possibility of serving up to 10 years in prison for death by dangerous driving. However, he was ultimately fined $175 and convicted of the lesser charge of careless driving. Broderick has confessed that the accident continues to haunt him. He broke his leg in the crash, which occurred just as Ferris Bueller Days Off, his biggest hit, was being released in the US. The box office success of Ferris Bueller, despite its critical reception, and the special effects blockbuster Godzilla in 1998 gave Broderick his first action role. If any Godzilla sequels are planned, he is under contract for 2 more films. Broderick has occasionally returned to stage in New York, performing in revivals of musical classics like How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, and in the revival of classic plays like Night Must Fall. Number 20. Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson thought his parents had raised him, but he was living a shocking lie. The truth was more twisted than any plot that he had ever played a part in. This is a story that will leave you speechless. Jack Nicholson grew up believing his parents were, in fact, his mother and father. He had a 17-year-old sister named June when he was born, and it wasn't until after his parents passed away that June revealed the truth. She was actually Jack's mother. His parents were actually his grandparents, who kept the secret due to the stigma surrounding June's underage pregnancy. Jack Nicholson, an American actor, producer, director, and screenwriter, is a 3-time Academy Award winner and 12-time nominee. Nicholson is also one of only 2 actors alongside Michael Kane to receive an Oscar nomination in every decade from the 1960s to the 2000s. His big break came with Easy Rider, which came out in 1969, where he portrayed the liquor-soaked attorney George Hanson, earning his first Oscar nomination. Nicholson's film career soared in the 1970s with a landmark performance in 5 Easy Pieces. His other standout roles from this era include leading parts in Roman Polanski's noir classic Chinatown, 1974, and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in 1975, for which he won his first Best Actor Oscar. The 1980s began with another iconic role for Nicholson as Jack Torrance in Stanley Kubrick's adaptation of Stephen King's The Shining. In the 1990s, he starred in a range of films, including A Few Good Men, which came out in 1992, which earned him another Oscar nomination, and a dual role in Mars Attacks, 1996. Number 19. Carrie Grant. When Carrie Grant was just 9, his mother vanished from his life, and it wasn't until that he was grown that he learned the shocking truth about her disappearance. When Carrie Grant was just 9 years old, his mother disappeared out of his life. At first, Grant's father, Elias, said that his mom was away at a seaside resort, but after time passed, he revealed the truth. Grant's mother had died. This too, however, was a terrible lie, and Grant didn't discover the real story behind his mother's vanishing until he was already grown. When Grant was 31 years old, his father Elias became terribly ill. As he lay on his deathbed, he finally told his son his darkest secret. Grant's mother Elsie wasn't dead, and she definitely wasn't at a seaside resort. Instead, she had been alive the whole time, locked up in a lunatic asylum. Grant's father had placed her there so that she could pursue a new bride. Horrified, Grant immediately traveled to England to get his mother out of the asylum. Number 18. Bob Hope. Bob Hope may have been America's beloved family man, but his private life was anything but wholesome. His secret affairs quickly became one of Hollywood's worst kept secrets. To the public, Bob Hope was the stand-up comedian and charming family man, but those who knew him behind the scenes saw a very different story. It turns out that the man who managed to marry 2 women wasn't exactly loyal. In fact, he wasn't loyal at all. As one insider put it, whenever the superstar checked into a hotel, outside his room were 3, 4, 5 young beautiful girls waiting to be picked up by him to come in. Hope was playing with fire, and it wasn't long before things got scorched. In 1949, Hope started an affair with the rising star Barbara Payton, even setting her up with a Hollywood apartment for their secret tryst. But Payton, like many starlets, craved attention and started demanding more gifts and favors from the actor. Cue the tension. Eventually, Hope had enough of the fling and ended things, though he made sure to pay Payton off to keep her quiet. But Payton wasn't about to let things slide. She signed up for a tell-all interview in a confidential magazine in 1956, revealing all about her affair with Hope, and the superstar's dirty little secret was exposed to the world. Number 17. Richard Pryor.
Day in America. I said, yeah, that motherfucker right. You got some money or a pistol, you can get something to eat.
Richard Pryor turned his pain into comedy, but his childhood was anything but funny. Raised in a brothel by his abusive grandmother, Pryor's story is nothing short of heartbreaking. The comedian was a son of a prostitute, and he grew up in his mother's house, which doubled as a brothel. When his mother abandoned him, Pryor was left to be raised by his cruel grandmother. His father, a hustler, was absent from his life. Despite these dark beginnings, Pryor managed to turn his painful past into groundbreaking comedy. Richard Franklin Lennox Thomas Pryor Sr. was an American stand-up comedian and actor known for his sharp observations and unique storytelling style. Pryor is widely regarded as one of the greatest and most influential stand-up comedians of all time. Number 16. Melissa Joan Hart. Melissa Joan Hart's wholesome image was just a facade. Behind the scenes, she was living a wild life of partying and experimentation that would have shocked her fans. Known for her squeaky clean roles in shows like Clarissa Explains It All and Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Hart reveals a different side of herself in her memoir, Melissa Explains It All, Tales from My Abnormally Normal Life. In it, she admitted to experimenting with drugs and partying hard, offering a stark contrast to her beloved innocent on-screen persona. Melissa Joan Hart is an American actress best known for her starring roles as the title characters in Clarissa Explains It All, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and Melissa and Joey. She also appeared as Liz in No Good Nick and starred in films like Drive Me Crazy, 9 Dead, and God's Not Dead 2. 15. Kathy Griffin. Kathy Griffin's sharp tongue hides a painful past. Her brother's disturbing behavior left her with lifelong scars that she's still grappling with today. While Kathy Griffin is known for her humor and quick wit, her autobiography, My Life on the D-List, reveals a much darker side of her past. In the book, Griffin opens up about the disturbing behavior of her brother, which left her with deep emotional scars. Her brother, Kenny Griffin, was later imprisoned for physically abusing his wife and eventually passed away while serving his sentence. Kathleen Mary Griffin is an American comedian and actress who has starred in television series, comedy specials, and released multiple comedy albums. In 2007 and 2008, she won Primetime Emmy Awards for her reality show, Kathy Griffin: My Life on the D-List. She's also appeared in supporting roles in various films. 14. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford's climb to fame wasn't as glamorous as it seemed. Before she became a star, she was hiding a dark secret that MGM desperately tried to bury. Before becoming one of Hollywood's most iconic leading ladies, Joan Crawford had been allegedly involved in at least one pornographic film, one in which she may have been underage. The truth remains a mystery, as every copy of the film was reportedly hunted down and destroyed by Crawford's employer, MGM Studios. When Crawford parted ways with MGM in 1943, she paid them a surprising $50,000, a gesture that raises questions. Perhaps it was a quiet payment to ensure her embarrassing and potentially career-damaging film debut was buried for good. 13. Ingrid Bergman. Ingrid Bergman's on-screen romances were legendary, but her off-screen affairs were even more scandalous. One shocking love affair was kept hidden for years. 5 years after her passing, the news of one of Ingrid Bergman's secret affairs came to light. In an interview with People, Gregory Peck made a stunning confession. While filming Spellbound in 1945, he and Bergman had shared a fleeting passionate moment. All I can say is that I had a real love for her, and I think that's where I ought to stop. I was young, she was young. We were involved for weeks in close and intense work. But Peck wasn't the only one to reveal his connections to Bergman's secret life. 12. Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr.'s troubled past is well known, but few know the heartbreaking origin of his addictions. His father's actions set him on a dark path. Robert Downey Jr.'s battles with drugs nearly derailed both his career and personal life. The heartbreaking truth is that his father, Robert Downey Sr., was the first one who introduced his 8-year-old sons to drug and alcohol. Fortunately, both father and son have since turned their lives around, now sober and regretful of their past choices. 11. John Huston. John Huston's legendary career was nearly destroyed by a tragic accident. He fled Hollywood for years, hiding from the guilt of a crime that haunted him. John Huston was a legendary filmmaker, known for directing some of the most acclaimed and influential American films of all time, including The Maltese Falcon and The African Queen. His reputation as a hard-living, hard-drinking womanizer quickly followed. However, before he became a celebrated director, a young Huston was working as a screenwriter when he struck dancer Tosca Rulin with his car, causing her death. Although he was cleared of any blame in court, the tragedy haunted him so deeply that he fled Hollywood for 5 years, drifting through Europe until 1937. A persistent rumor of the time suggests that it was actually the famed actor Clark Gable who had accidentally killed Rulin, with Huston allegedly being paid to take the fall. 10. Charlize Theron. Charlize Theron's traumatic past is rarely talked about. When she was just a teenager, her family was torn apart by a shocking act of violence. Theron grew up on a farm in South Africa. One night, her father attacked her mother. In an act of self-defense, her mother fought back, and her father died instantly. Greta Theron never faced any charges for the incident, and Charlize Theron rarely discusses this painful chapter of her life. Charlize Theron is a South African-American actress and producer. One of the world's highest-paid actresses, she has received numerous accolades, including an Academy Award and a Golden Globe Award. In 2016, Time named her one of the 100 most influential people in the world. 9. Bert Lancaster. Bert Lancaster was a Hollywood heartthrob with a shocking secret. His private life was closely monitored by the FBI, but was it all just a smear campaign? In 2000, 6 years after his passing, the FBI released explosive new documents about Bert Lancaster. Back in the 1950s, J. Edgar Hoover had kept a tight watch on Lancaster, particularly his personal life. The documents suggest that Lancaster had numerous affairs with men and even hinted at predatory behavior, but whether this information is accurate remains in question. Hoover may have fabricated these claims to further tarnish Lancaster's reputation, seeing him as a potential communist threat. Outside the FBI, rumors about Lancaster's sexuality persisted. Much of this stemmed from his obsession with physical fitness and his preference for male personal secretaries over female ones. Perhaps what's even more revealing were the frequent visits he made to Rock Hudson's home, where rumors of wild gay orgies often circulated. Long before Lancaster's death, whispers about his secretive and passionate liaisons have already begun to surface. 8. Lauren Bacall.
You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You just put your lips together and blow.
Lauren Bacall's legacy is filled with secrets. In her final years, she revealed shocking details about her hidden Hollywood affairs and rivalries. Just a month before her 90th birthday, Lauren Bacall suffered a stroke and passed away at her longtime Manhattan home, the Dakota. Bacall has always been an enigmatic figure, but in her later years, she began to reveal secrets that had remained buried for decades, and many were absolutely stunning. One of the most jaw-dropping revelations came when Bacall spoke about her early days in Hollywood. She had rejected Howard Hawks, the director who discovered her, on the set of her first film, infuriating him. But Hawks was even angrier when he found out that she was secretly having an affair with Humphrey Bogart. Years later, when asked about the love triangle, his response was brutal and unforgettable. Hawks said, "Boogie fell in love with the character she played, so she had to keep playing it for the rest of her life." Ouch. 7. Anthony Perkins.
You know, I think I must have one of those faces you just can't help believing.
Anthony Perkins' private life was filled with secrets, but one of his most devastating truths came out just before his death, shocking his fans worldwide. One of Anthony Perkins' greatest secrets was his romance with Hollywood heartthrob Tab Hunter. They kept their affair hidden from everyone, always presenting themselves as nothing more than close college buddies to their friends. But behind closed doors, their passion for each other was undeniable. Though their secret love affair only lasted 3 years, it was nothing compared to the brutal truth that Perkins had yet to face. Few people close to Perkins were willing to speak about his personal life, particularly his fidelity or whether he had relationships with other men during his marriage. His friends fiercely protected his privacy. However, in a twist of fate, The Inquirer, a tabloid paper, published an explosive story claiming that Perkins had HIV. At first, most people dismissed the report, but not Perkins. Shocked by the tabloid's claims, he took tests to confirm the truth. When the results came back positive, Perkins realized that The Inquirer has somehow obtained this private information before he did. As we know, Perkins kept his personal struggles hidden, particularly his relationship with other men and his heartbreaking diagnosis. He chose to endure his battle with AIDS in silence, confiding only in his wife and close family. Even visits to the hospital were kept under wraps. 6. Jackie Chan.
What's my secret? I have no secret. Everybody know where I'm born, what my father's doing. Poor me, I have no secret. I want some secret.
Jackie Chan's love for risk-taking might be genetic. Both his parents lived extraordinary secret lives filled with crime and intrigue before he was even born. Chan's daring nature can be traced back to his parents. His mother was an infamous drug lord, and his father worked as a secret agent for the Nationalist Guard. The two first crossed paths when Chan's father arrested his future mother for drug possession. Chan Kong Sang, SBS MBE PMW, known professionally as Jackie Chan, is a Hong Kong actor, director, writer, producer, martial artist, and stuntman known for his slapstick acrobatic fighting style, comedic timing, and innovative stunts, which he typically performs himself. Number 5. Elvis Presley.
And I stood tall and did it my way.
Elvis Presley might have been the king of rock and roll, but his insecurities led to disturbing behaviors that are rarely discussed. His secrets reveal a much darker side. Despite being the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley was deeply insecure, especially regarding. This led him to seek out young girls who had little to no sexual experience, which created significant pressures on himself. As a result, he would request his managers to find girls who were 16 or younger, which in most states was somewhat illegal even at that time, unless of course you were a music and movie star like Presley. 4. Rose McGowen. Rose McGowen overcame a chilling childhood in a cult where abuse was rampant. Her past is far darker than any character that she has portrayed on screen. Rose McGowen is a well-known actress who has largely kept her past out of the public eye. She was raised in the Children of God, a controversial sex cult where her parents and fellow cult members followed a philosophy of free love. McGowen witnessed widespread sexual abuse and the mistreatment of women, an experience that scarred her deeply. She eventually escaped when she was a teenager. Rose McGowen is an American actress and director recognized for her impactful work in independent cinema. Since the age of 19, she has starred in acclaimed films by directors such as Greg Araki, Wes Craven, Brian De Palma, Robert Rodriguez, and Quentin Tarantino. Her directional debut, Dawn, 2014, was nominated for the Short Film Grand Jury Prize at the Sundance Film Festival. Number 3. Wallace Reed. Wallace Reed was Hollywood's first action hero, but a tragic on-set injury pushed him into a spiral of addiction that the studios desperately worked to cover up. Long before Dwayne Johnson, Tom Cruise, or Steve McQueen, there was Wallace Reed, Hollywood's original action star. Reed was known for performing his own stunts and playing fearless daredevils in films like The Roaring Road, but everything changed in 1919 when a terrible accident on the set of Valley of the Giants left Reed in excruciating pain. This led to his addiction to morphine. At a time when rehab was considered a shameful scandal, the studio went to great lengths to hide his substance abuse. Ultimately, as things grew worse, they sent him to a sanatorium for treatment. By then, however, it was too late. The stress of withdrawal triggered a fatal heart attack, ending Reed's life at just 31 years old. 2. Marion Davies. Marion Davies kept a shocking secret for decades, a truth that only came to light when her niece made a stunning deathbed confession, revealing the hidden story of Davies' real child. Marion Davies has always been especially close to her niece and nephews, but none more than her sister Rose's daughter, Patricia. Patricia spent a lot of time with Davies and her partner, media mogul William Randolph Hearst, and when Davies passed, Patricia inherited a sizable fortune. No one questioned this, until 1993, when Patricia made a chilling confession on her deathbed. In that moment, she revealed to her family that Davies and Hearst were, in fact, her biological parents, not her aunt and uncle. As the pieces of the story came together, a clearer picture began to emerge. Patricia was born in an unnamed hospital in France between 1919 and 1923, right around the time that Davies and Hearst's affair was in full swing. According to the story, Davies became pregnant, and Hearst arranged for her to give birth away from Hollywood's watchful eye. Strangely enough, Davies' sisters Rose had recently lost a child, and it was then that the decision was made. Davies gave the baby to Rose, and they forged the necessary paperwork, but things didn't always go smoothly. In 1924, Rose's estranged husband, George, kidnapped young Patricia and disappeared for 5 long years. Although Davies likely struggled with the loss of her secret child, she had to hide her emotions to protect her secret. In response, Hearst hired a detective to track down George and the child, eventually reuniting the family. Throughout the years, Hearst financially supported Patricia, and both Davies and Hearst separately shared the truth of her parentage with her. Patricia nearly took the secret to the grave, but thankfully, the truth was finally revealed. And at number 1, we have Stan Laurel. Stan Laurel's legendary comedic partnership with Oliver Hardy may have brought laughter to millions, but his off-screen life was filled with darkness, revealed in a shocking divorce. Laurel and Hardy became one of Hollywood's most iconic duos, with Hardy playing the bully and Laurel the bumbling straight man. However, behind the scenes, Stan Laurel's life was far from comedic. He was a violent alcoholic, a truth that came to light during his 3rd divorce. Vera Shabalova, his wife at the time, accused him of threatening her with a gun. Shockingly, friends of Shabalova were forced to intervene when Laurel began digging a grave in their backyard, threatening to bury her alive. Good God.